likes of Professor Nora Akinola, you know, we don't know how to compensate them for what they have done or for the support that they have given. But I'm sure that they will be happy within themselves that they have contributed to the progress of a number of our younger colleagues. So I thank you very much, and I appreciate the audience that you have given to me.
Thank you, the Vice Chancellor. Thank you also for all the various points that you have raised. They are noted. We are actually thinking of all the meetings that will enable Dr. Aina to be able to be part of us and for us to share in the wealth of knowledge that that FinTech organization has. We are going to next to take the next presentation, and then we have adjusted the program to enable participants to ask questions. We've added some 15 minutes to the program, so people will be able to discuss issues arising from this meeting and other concerns that they have after all the presentation. So we're going to take the next presentation now. It's going to be given by Professor Olubade.
Can I plead for something?
Yes, sir.
Can I plead that we give Dr. Segun Aina about 10 minutes?
Oh.
Yes, I see it's not in the program.
Yes.
So, to talk about the synergy between research and innovation and what can be done from the industry, and you know, so just anything that he feels within just 10 minutes.
Right.
Okay, sir.
Prof.
Yes,
Professor Bilade.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Initially, we thought that this would be an observatory meeting for him, so that we now organize another meeting. His attendance was part of the resolutions at an earlier meeting that Dr. Segun Aina's group had with Director, Central Office of Research, and myself. But we can also give him that time to articulate those thoughts, his thoughts around what we're doing. But we are going to have another meeting.
Something coming like a goodwill message.
Okay, sir, we will do that. We are also going to have another fuller meeting so that we will have a workable thing. But we would, I think Professor Adesina will be able to put him in for a goodwill message, sir.
Yeah. So we will give him, in fact, if we can do that now, we will give him 2 hours in that other one, or 3 hours, or even 4 hours. But for this one, let's just give him some 5 minutes, 10 minutes maximum.
Okay, sir. Professor Adesina, sir. Professor Adesina.
Yes, I'm here.
Can we give him that time before the technical presentations start?
Sure. So we'll listen to him. Yes.
Sir.
It's unmuted already.
Okay, yes, I'm unmuted. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Chancellor. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Thank you very much, Professor Ogunbodede, for giving me the opportunity to speak here. I was hoping, I just thought I would just be an observer based on the fact that I was saying that be another meeting. I want to thank Professor Bilade too, and all the Professor and all the professors that are behind this. The VC has said it all. Research is good, but research changes the world and changes society when it moves to innovation or impact changes to national policy, and from innovation to commercialization, coming up with a solution that can be commercialized and be for the benefit of all, while the people behind it also make money in perpetuity from what has been done. And in terms of revenue generation, the VC has said it all again. When researchers do something that leads to innovation and leads to the finding of those products, the university benefits from it, the researcher benefit from it, and whoever at the shareholder, the private sector that also invests in it, benefits from it. this particular thing we're talking about, the NRF, they had a meeting about 2 days ago. I'm very much involved with Tetfund. I'm serving currently on the Research and Development Standing Committee. I was also one of the committee members that drafted the bill to create the National Research and Development Fund, which is a fund that we expect that every year about $5 billion will be going into to be able to move us to research leading to innovation and commercialization. That draft bill is now with the president. They're going to send it to the National Assembly. So there are big thoughts behind this, and the university environment system are supposed to be the one that will provide the input into this that will lead to how this fund can support. So in today's world, funding is no longer a problem. The ideas are the problem. People are looking for ideas that can be commercialized, that can change societal challenges. And this year alone, the fintech industry has raised not less than $1.7 billion. And most of these fintech people are just young people. You can then imagine with research outcome by eminent and erudite professors working with private sector that will identify gaps and challenges that exist in the system and provide the empirical research that can solve those problems. And that's where even the Tetfund is going today. Last night I had a discussion with Professor Kundiri, who is the current chairman of NRF. 2 days ago I also had the same discussion with Professor Bamiro, and we are all aligned in the fact that this should be, and the theme of the Tetfund 2 days ago was after NRF, what next? And the solution of that is that we should now move to innovation, from innovation to, so what the meeting is talking about, what this meeting is all about, is really in tandem with what we should do. So when we are putting up concept paper and proposals, we should not just look at it being the terminal, it should be a means to an end. And what is that end? That end is to be able to convert it into innovation. And that's why we have mentioned to Tetfund that the best proposal will be a proposal that has the strong academic input and also some input from the private sector in terms of how this can lead to innovation and commercialization. So that, and this is what even Tetfund is looking at. Even the one that have been done, I've told you about 200. Probably told me there are 200 research that are ongoing, which will be closed out maybe next year. And they're now looking at setting up a team. We are working with them to look at what are those ones that we can pick that can be, that can lead to innovation and commercialization. So what the OAU is doing is very, very commendable, and I congratulate OAU for coming first in the last something. And like the PC said, I'm praying that OAU come first again this year. I have a very strong time with OAU. I was a member of the Pioneer Advancement Board 2006 to 2012, and I know the enormous resources that exist in the OAU. And that is why we have worked with our partners to set up an innovation hub within the university. The hub is not only for students and researchers. They have all the resources to be able to do a lot of research, to bring in private sector people to come and participate. Luckily, OAU has produced a lot of alumnus who are doing very well, who are CEO, and we are putting a lot of them, and they are ready to come into OAU to see what they can do to partner with us and partner with OAU in ensuring that closeness between the private sector and the academic community. So we are resolute and we are determined to support whatever efforts you are doing in OAU. We appreciate the commitment and passion of the VC and everybody that is involved in this. And we are ready to work with you using my over 40 years experience in the private sector on corporate boards of various organizations in manufacturing, in banking, in insurance, everywhere. Even with my current role as chairman of Odu, I also set up a Southwest Innovation Company, which is supposed to aggregate fund to be able to support innovation from institutions like OAU. Just last week, it was announced that ADB has put together $170 million at their own funding for a national innovation fund, which is going to be about $620 million. That is also coming up next year. These are programs that we can key into at the OAU level. We're going to have a meeting with the ADB rep in Nigeria early in the new year to see how we can support the industry in pushing this forward, how we can support universities in coming up with startup ideas. I would say startup. Startup doesn't mean young boys and girls. A 70-year-old person can be a startup in coming up with ideas that can solve a societal problem and that can also bring solution. And maybe by the time we are meeting next, I'll be able to illustrate more. I just thought I should give this good message that the VC has said, and to say that we are ready to partner with OEU to be sure that continue to be the leading institution in terms of research that leads to innovation and that leads to solutions to societal problems. So thank you very much, the VC. Thank you very much, Professor Bilade. And in the course of the program, if there's any other need to be able to provide some input, I will. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. The VC.
Yes, I'm true. I mean, you are in charge. Professor Adesina, you are in charge.
Right, sir. Thank you, Dr. Aina. Thank you, Dr. Aina. We are actually anticipatory of our collaboration with you. As you have said, we are hoping that we'll have a meeting with you online on these matters very shortly. So we go to take the next presentation, and it's going to be given by Professor Olugbade. Professor Olugbade. Prof, are you online? Can you hear me, Prof? Okay, maybe we take the advantage and ask Professor Akinola to come online and wait for Professor Olugbade to take his paper later on. Professor Akinola, can we ask you to take your paper? Professor Akinola? Professor Akinola, are you online?
Hello, I'm here. Yes, I'm here online.
Okay.
Good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, the Vice Chancellor, sir, good morning for the opportunity given to me to speak at this event. I would like to share my screen, please. Can I be given the opportunity to share my screen, please? Okay.
Yes, they will enable you to share your screen.
All right.
Working on it.
Okay. Can we see the screen? Is it visible? Hello?
Yes, we can see the screen.
All right, thank you very much. So I've been asked to talk about the critical, to give critical guidance in the drafting of concept notes in the thematic areas of health sciences. I'll put, let's see. Okay, all right. So in summary, the concept notes consist of various sections. And one of the things that Tetfund does is to ensure initially that all concept notes follow the laid down guidelines. And any concept note that does not fulfill the guidelines is automatically removed before it is even looked at for content. So the various sections I have listed here, but I'll talk about them one by one. To start with, the total word count for any concept note, be it in health sciences or in any other faculty, should not be more than 1,500 words. And in the review of some of the concept notes, I've seen some concept notes up to 3,000 words. Automatically, those will be thrown out. They won't even look at it. So please, let's take note of that. Now, the title must be catching. It must not be the answer to the question, and it should not be longer than 20 words maximum. So it has to be a title that will catch the attention of the reader. Now, the thematic area should also be appropriately selected. And we have a choice between science, technology, and innovation, cross-cutting, and then humanities and social sciences. So we've seen in the past that some people would choose the wrong thematic area. Again, this may not be condoned. So you need to choose your thematic area very well. Now, the background to the research is key, but you should not be too verbose. It's important that you identify the gaps you want to reach and also present these gaps in a succinct manner without too many words. A statement of research problem also is absolutely essential. And in fact, every section of the concept note must be filled and be attended to. So the statement of research problem must be focused on the area of research. And the objectives must be clearly stated without any ambiguity. And remember, objectives must be SMART. That is, must be specific, measurable, achievable within the time frame. Remember, the NRF is usually for a period of 2 years. And if you design a study that is more than that, they won't consider it. And this was a problem we had the first time when we applied for Tetfund NRF. We just didn't see the light of day because we're asking for a 3-year study period when it shouldn't be more than 2 years. So the objectives must be SMART, as I said, specific, measurable, achievable, reliable, and must have a time frame. And it must be reproducible as well. So you must present it in such a way that if anybody takes hold of it, they'll be able to understand what you are intending to do, how you want to do it, and for how much. So the research questions must be very clearly stated. And the literature review should not be too voluminous. A lot of people spend a lot of time talking about the literature review and they waste a lot of words in the process. Now, in health sciences, this is an area that is probably quite maybe different from other areas. They ask for a theoretical framework. Sometimes in the process of doing our studies in health sciences, we may not have an appropriate theoretical framework to suit the study. So, but we could have a conceptual framework instead. So what's the concept behind the study that can be presented? And this is what you need to articulate in this section. I'm trying to get to the next slide. Okay, so the research methodology is an issue here that is very important. We've been talking about innovation, and you know, some concept notes just look like research in the department, and this does not fly with NRF. And NRF is looking for your ability to do research in a multi-center type of environment, and to involve as many disciplines as possible. Now, the study concept or the title and the questions to be answered, research questions, should be used to formulate the methodology. Now, the usual studies that we do, cross-sectional studies, usually don't fly. And as you've heard, innovation is it. So if you know that your study is like the regular studies we do at our part 2 levels and for research within our own department, then you need to look outside the box and think bigger. The bigger you think, the better, I think it is for Tetfund. And involve as many regions of Nigeria as possible. And also intervention studies are also preferred to cross-sectional studies. So, but if it's an intervention, I mean, innovation, that is something that is new, it's not been done before anywhere else, then that is a plus. And Tetfund is also looking for areas where we can have patents and the like. And in fact, the most important thing for Tetfund in these studies is the impact. What is the impact of what you're doing? Is it just doing the regular research that we do, or is it something that is new? So we must try by all means to do something that is new and achievable within the time frame. And from the methodology, it's important that we show how we will select our population. Something has happened. Okay. We must show how we select our population, how we calculate the sample size, and how we would actually go about doing what we have set out to do. And we should also show the statistical method we're going to use. For example, if you're going to look at microbiome, for example, using the 16S technology, you must also show that you can use bioinformatic systems to analyze this data effectively, and show that indeed it is impactful, and who are the people who will benefit. It has to be stated, and that is where the issue of mentorship is also very important. There must be on the team of the research team evidence that you have students who are going to uptake master's or PhD studies within the time frame, and the budget should not exceed the maximum of 15 million. And don't work to 50 million. If you work to 50 million, it is obvious that you're working to the answer. That also will be rejected. Whatever you do in terms of budget, because every section of the budget has a percentage maximum that you can use in that area. If for any reason you are exceeding that budget, that's percentage, you will need to justify the need for that additional fund in that section. So it is important that we state clearly the members of the team, who they are, where they're coming from. And if you're doing regional studies where you need to have people in Nasarawa or Enugu or Lagos, other places like that, far apart, show that they must be there in the list of your team, the list of your team, and the Tetfund doesn't allow much money for transportation. It is moving from one place to the other. So you will need to put in their Zoom calls and other innovative ideas of communicating with one another, and then transporting specimens or samples that you may need to obtain. But they don't want you to spend too much money on transportation. So bottom line is impact, impact, impact. I'm going back to that now. If your study is not having the desired impact at various levels, is it for the community? Is it impacting health generally? Is it impacting the growth of the community? Is it having impact on policy making? So if it doesn't address some of these areas of need in the community, the other concept notes that do address these areas will have an edge over the one you have written. So we need to bear all this in mind. Bottom line is follow Tetfund guidelines. And I just came back from a workshop on this, and the chairman of Tetfund were there, and I sang a song to them because they said we should, after learning certain things, we should be able to sing it back. And I want to sing that song to encourage you, because Tetfund is here to help every one of us who is interested in doing impactful research. The word is impact. And it goes like this. It's based on the song of Michael Jackson and his team, that's We Are the World. And it goes like this. Tetfund is here. Tetfund will help you. Tetfund will help you to perform impactful research. All you have to do is fill the application form. I'm done now. And Tetfund will help you to change the world. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof, for those guidelines. I'm sure that participants will have access to these materials immediately after the workshop. We will take Professor Olugbade now. He's already online. Professor Olugbade, can we have you do your presentation? Prof. Professor Olugbade. Oh, okay. Prof. Professor Akinola. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Professor Olugbade. Professor Olugbade is online. Professor Olugbade, you can unmute. Professor Olugbade. We're waiting for Professor Olugbade.
Sorry, Chairman. Have you been able to see Professor Olugbade online? I can't see him.
We've been linking up with him in the last.
But I have checked the 100 participants here. I can't find his name.
We've linked up with him in the last 10 minutes, sir. And it's. Are you okay? It's there.
Okay, it's here now. Okay, Olateju Olugbade.
This is we are taking the next presentation where Professor Olugbade is allowed in. We will take that of Professor Aderomu. Professor Aderomu is unable to link up with us because of connectivity, and he sent his presentation.
Well, I'm online, sir. Hello, sir.
Oh yeah, Professor Aderomu, please take your presentation, please.
Okay, sir. Can I share my screen?
Please do, Professor Aderomu.
Okay, I'm coming. I'm trying to share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Your video is not on.
Can you screen my screen, sir?
Your video is not on.
Yes, I off it because of the bandwidth, sir.
Okay. But we can't see.
Can you see my screen, sir?
No.
Yes, we're trying to share it.
Okay, you can share it for me.
Okay. The presentation, okay.
Professor Deshina, the professor, the Dr. Olugbade that you see is not Tiwa Olugbade.
We've corrected that, sir.
Okay.
It's been sorted out, yes, sir.
Yes. My
The
visit, sir.
screen.
You can see me, sir.
Yes, we can see you in face mask.
Good morning, sir. My Vice Chancellor, I'm very grateful and I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to be part of this workshop. Also, I want to thank the organizer for this wonderful webinar. My job is very simple here this morning. I'm going to speak on what is a winning concept in science, engineering, technology, and innovation. Well, I want to thank Professor Mr. Akinola for that beautiful presentation because it's just a rider on what she has just said. Now, I will not want to waste our time. What I am trying to do this morning is to give us a kind of guidance in terms of marking scheme, because when you write a very wonderful proposal and you are not able to put in all the necessary ingredients, honestly, it will not stay true. So based on my experience in the last 8 or 9
This is it. This is the problem.
just this short version of a proposal to explain the importance of a particular research project. And it is usually not that you want to undertake. And as rightly said by Professor Akinola, the maximum is 1,500 words. So in essence, it's like the summary of your proposal. Now I'm giving you this template. This is the template approved by the National Research Fund Screening and Monitoring Committee to guide you when you are preparing your concept note. And I'm sure that all of us will have this template with us. Can you give me the next screen? The next slide. The next slide. The next slide. Yeah, this is still part of the concept note. The next slide. The next slide. So now I think we have this also marking guide with us. I mean, since last take it down into what we always look for when we are scoring the concept note. So we can go to the next page, the next slide. That is the most important part of this presentation. We have what is, yeah. So if you look at this slide now, I'm giving you the scoring guide. So it's like we are just opportunity that we are part of that business in Abuja. So what I did was just to present the scoring guide. So if you have your concept note, you can go back now and sit down and score yourself and see whether you can make a 70 or 80, as rightly said by the Vice Chancellor. Now, if you look at the first information there, the title and background to the research, the title and the background to the research score 10 marks. And I've given you what we look for when we are trying to, to assess the concept note. The title and keywords should be apt, so that gives you 2 marks. And the title must not be less than 20 words, that gives you 1 mark. Thematic area is very key. That one will give you 1 mark. In the proposal I reviewed, most of the researchers didn't even put the thematic area. That means automatically I'm going to score 0. Then background to research, you can see I'll give you 2 marks. And then relevance to Nigerians development is under 2 marks. So by the time you sum up that, it gives you 10 marks. So if you miss some of clarity of what you are trying to do, and then the research questions
Professor Doromo, we can't hear you, please.
It appears Professor Doromo has connectivity difficulties, so we will wait to allow him to speak to it again towards the end of this workshop. But the materials are with us for sharing. We will try to see if we can make some comments at the end of the presentation. So we will. So we take Professor Olugbade now. Hello, Professor Olugbade. Hello, Prof. It's still muted. Okay. Professor Olugbade.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
You're welcome. Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
You have the floor, Prof.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me?
Yes, Prof. Yes, Prof.
Oh, thank you very much. I know that other participants have given some wise words, and I will just complement what you have heard and what others will contribute. And my own assignment is just to call attention to common mistakes that are found in the concept notes that has been submitted over the years. Any manual prepared by Trivent, which was commissioned by Tetfund. And that is to avoid being accused of plagiarism in one instance. And in the other instance, to let us know that we are having the benefit of an inside story. Trivent write-up and presentation was actually facilitated by Professor Ibrahim Katampe in Nigeria and America. And the contribution is based on his experience, one, as a member of the Tetfund R&D Standing Committee, as well as a member of NRF Review Committee. And the material also incorporates the reports from other Tetfund reviewers at committee meetings. Again, for emphasis, it means that we are having the benefit of what inside story is. So it's not a composition, it is actually the reality of the common mistakes that we make when we write concept notes. I want to remind us of the fact that to write a meaningful concept note, we have to place our mind in the viewing it from the point of view of an assessor of our write-up, as well as that of the funding agency. And as teachers and academics, I don't think we should have a problem doing that. So in other words, we should be in a position to judge clearly what if you were the assessor, if you are, all of us, I'm sure, are qualified to be assessors. And if you are given that assignment, what will you be looking for? And then supposing you are the funding agency, what actually will you be expecting from the person writing an application for grants? So it is within that context that I want us to see what I want to present. And we must also appreciate that NRF has become the mainstay of research funding in Nigeria. And it is open to academic staff of all public tertiary institutions. And therefore, the implication is that it has become very, very, very competitive. You'll be surprised that both colleges of education and polytechnics participate and are encouraged to participate. So we are competing with our peers all over the country. So as far as Tetfund is concerned, from the point of view of the agency providing the fund, research proposals must address national developmental issues and provide solutions. And that there's a paradigm shift, that priority is given to prospects of commercializable patterns or other innovations. And that pure studies or investigations that we are familiar with in our research are gradually being restricted to IBR grants. Now talking about common mistakes. Now, like I've said before, the basic trick to presenting an acceptable proposal is to see through with the eyes of an assessor or funding agency, inundated with more applications than can be accommodated. This implies that even very good proposals may have to be rejected, not to talk of non-compliance or poorly reasoned ones. In terms of compliance, I really mean it. We may have an excellent proposal, but if it's not compliant in what we normally term minor issues, it will be gladly rejected because very, very competitive. Now, I want to remind us of the scoreable items. And this table will demonstrate to you that almost every line in the template is a scoreable item. Can you imagine that title and background alone will carry as much as 10 marks out of 100? And what are the comments? The second, third column are mine, that it is required to be very concise and clear. For instance, title is limited by number of words. We should not think that 21 is approximately 20. If it exists, that may be the only reason why the application will not sail through. And then statement of research problem or research questions or both combined, score as much as 10. And research objectives. In fact, my own experience from the little I've reviewed this time around and even before was that some of our colleagues cannot distinguish between main objectives and strategic objectives. For emphasis, I would say that main objective is actually the goal, and it should reflect the outcome or the expected results of the project. On the other hand, strategic objectives can reflect the activities. And then another distinction again, the main objective should be in very, very clear language that even a non-expert can understand and appreciate. Sometimes we get carried away thinking that we are so much technical and that our proposal is only for technical people. I want to tell you that even globally, the funding agencies are necessarily technical people. So if you want their money, then you must write in the language that we must understand. I mean, it is not difficult to say that the reason why you want to fly a rocket to the moon is to study climate.
Prof, are you still there? Professor Wadi? Wow. Let's wait for another minute. I hope he can connect back to us. We may have lost connectivity with Professor Olubade. Let's hope we can bring him back to conclude this presentation. So, meanwhile, can I invite Professor Labisa, can you come on, please? Okay. Yeah, I think it's out. So, Professor Labisa, can we have you make a presentation and we see how we can bring the presenters back to the discussion table later on. Professor Aina, do you have to do, Professor?
Not.
Professor Aina, please unmute. Okay. She's there, but please unmute, Professor Aina. Sorry.
Yes, okay. I've just been unmuted.
All right.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Please permit my cracking voice. Just getting out of cough. I'm sure it's not COVID. So I'll share my screen. Can you permit that I share my screen?
Please go ahead, Prof. Please share your screen, Prof.
Okay. What do I have here now? Oh, wow. Sorry, I'm struggling with it. I'm not permitted to share my screen. Can you permit that I share my screen?
You're a co-host, so you should be able to share your screen. You've been permitted.
It says only host. It says only host.
The technical people are helping you, sir. Ma.
Oh. It says only host can share.
Okay.
Technical, I'm waiting.
They're working on it, Prof.
Okay.
Maybe you can start to speak while we load your presentation, Prof.
I think it's good I share, please. Okay.
Okay, you can try again.
Oh. It's still giving me whiteboard. Okay. Where is it now?
Let me do this.
It's not allowing. Okay. Where? Advance.
Are you able to share now?
It's not allowing me.
Oh,
Okay,
but
let me
it
just
says
speak.
all participants can share. That's what it's showing.
Yeah, but I pointed on my share
Maybe
screen.
you
It's
click,
not giving
maybe you click, if you click on that arrow on share screen,
on what?
then you will see who can share.
I click on share.
Then click on all participants.
This one. Chat.
She's been made a
Yeah, that's
co-host.
what I,
Yes, but on her own, she can control it. Just click on the arrow that is showing on the screen. On that share screen, there is one arrow, not the straight one in the
That's
middle.
why I said
The one on the right.
wow.
There is something on the right of the arrow. You click on that one,
Right
it will
of
give
the
you,
arrow.
yes.
Where is it?
On that share screen,
Oh.
on share screen, you will see the arrow, you will see another one, not really an arrow, pointing upwards. So if you click on that one,
it appears to be sharing already.
yeah, okay.
No, no.
It
I
appears
don't
to be
have the
sharing.
way.
It will take you to advanced sharing options.
Okay.
Then it will say who can share. Then you click on all participants.
Are you thread on this one, share. I beg. Eh? This one. Yeah. What then? Yes. It's not, I think I just speak. Where is the other arrow?
There's
Yeah, it's not.
You will see two rings there. One for host, one for who can share, host or participants. Then you click
Yes,
on
I
all
have that. Yeah,
yes.
I have that.
Yes,
but
click on all
not take.
participants.
I did.
Prof, can you share your slide to us? Can you send?
Okay.
Just send
I
your
will
slide.
just
We'll
speak.
project from here.
I'm just speak. Please, I will just speak.
It's all right, Prof.
Speak. Yeah,
okay, go ahead.
Myself. Yeah. Yes, like I said, please permit my cracking voice. A lot of things have been said. I'll just quickly go through to just add a little voice to what has been said in terms of our ability to understand what is a concept note. I think that is well stated. It's an abridged form of our research proposal, like an outline, a convincing summary. And saying so much in small words, that's what we want to do. And then we are then asking, why is NRF asking you to send the concept notes? It's because that as years go by, we are moving to when proposals were just in the number of 200 now to about 5,000. And we don't expect, we are not sure what we are going to expect for this year. Maybe it will even go to 10,000. So there is no way you can have enough human capacity to sit with 10,000 proposals. So it's just like concept note is the first step of weeding. So let us know that people don't have the luxury of time, to start sketching through your concept note in terms of what is important. People are given like about 500 concept notes to do in about 1 week or 2 weeks. So everybody is rushing for time. So for every statement that you are making on the concept note, for every paragraph, let it talk about the most important thing. That is very important. Don't put your most important view inside a paragraph. Let it start from the first statement on your paragraph so that people are interested to even read more. We are also interested, the issue of the topic is whether the topic is researchable. So as soon as you see the topic, let it be catchy. Make sure that the title that you are selecting is not one of those that have been over-researched. So in fact, I think part of what we said earlier this week within the Tetfund committee is the ability to give us a database so that people can look at researches that have been funded, so that people will not repeat the same research that Tetfund has already funded that they are no longer interested in. How that will come out, I don't know, but make sure that the title you are taking is not one of those that have been over-researched. I think we have been told the title must not be more than 20 words. It must be precise, simple to understand, no ambiguity. It must not be localized, like you have been told. It must be important enough to shape Nigerian development. And again, you must also be familiar with your thematic, particularly those in the humanities and social science. You must be familiar with the thematic areas. And instead of taking this one by one, I just want to give a tip, because this can also be a little bit dicey. For example, some of our colleagues writing from health sciences, we have health and social welfare. I think in the science part of there are three cohort groups: the humanities, social science, cross-cutting, and then SETI. And I think health science and social welfare is in 30 or so. And so because there are times you are writing from health sciences and it's typically very scientific, that will be captured under 30. But it becomes dicey when you are writing your proposal in the area of the social science, social medicine, social science part of medicine. When you write that and it's taken to SETI sometimes they have the largest proposals. And so most of the time they are not patient. When they see you talking about sampling and a community, they just throw it out. So we have told them that they should be able to be a little bit patient to transfer such proposal to humanities and social science. So please, if you are writing in the area of science, and you know that it's science and social welfare, you know that this is not like pure scientific proposal, please send it to humanities and social science group. Otherwise, in trying to make that judgment, your proposal or concept note might never be touched. And then looking at the key elements in the concept notes, the background, the statement of the problem, we've heard about that. The objective, I think usually people are not able to separate their main from specific objective. Justification and significance of the study is important to us in humanities and social science. It's also important to us in humanities and social science that some people over labor with literature review. They forget their theory, they forget their conceptual framework, they forget their study hypothesis, they forget key indicators. What are your indicators? What are the output indicators? What are your explanatory indicators? What are your independent variables? What are your dependent variables? You must be sharp of what is explaining what. Sometimes there's a mix-up and there's a problem. And then your research methodology, the scope. People are so over-serious about the scope that the scope is bigger than what 50 million can handle. Even though we want you to present something that will cover like the different zones in Nigeria, be careful that you are not over-exaggerating what you can do with the little amount that you are given. Usually, nobody is given 40 million, for example, because I think what happens is that we want to spread the money over so many proposals rather than give it to a particular person. So try and cover up the scope for Nigeria, but be careful how many states you are taking. If you are saying, oh, I'm going to cover 6 geopolitical zones, one state might just be enough, because this is just on the whole, in terms of the volume of work, 50 million is really not much to cover a national study. And then in terms of research methodology, I think the area of mistake is that people are not cogent enough about research design. Is it all quantitative? Is it all qualitative? Is it a mixed method? How do you, what is the relevance of mixing these two methods? We want it to be as clear, through the strength of your presentation that indeed you need both quantitative and qualitative methods. And then in terms of data collection, people mix up, their methods, their techniques. They mix up even management of data. You have to be clear, even though it's 1,500, be clear, this is what I will do with my quantitative data. This is what I will do with my qualitative data. And then again, for social science research, because at the end of the day, who needs your data? Who needs your data? From the very beginning, it is becoming very obvious that if you are doing something in the area of health, in the area of education, please indicate that you are going to collaborate with people from those sectors. You are going to collaborate with the Ministry of Health or Ministry of Education from the federal. If it is a national study, then you must say you will collaborate with, federal organs. You must carry them along. They must be principal stakeholders, because that assures us that when your research is out, these people are also expecting that there's going to be a feedback to them. And then you can then say, oh, this data will be used by, stakeholders. Expected results. In terms of your expected result, we want to see short-term and long-term. Short-term, now, what will you do? At the end of the day, in the long run, what is it going to do? And then your budget must not be more than 50 million. But please don't make it very close to it. Otherwise, people just make a laugh at your proposal. And then your budget must be guided by your scope. Your budget must be guided by your scope. But please, I want to identify other considerations, that is always looked at. Ethical considerations, your ethical approval. Not just that you have the ethical approval, but you must mention, how you are going to manage, the ethical, how you are going to mitigate, against ethical nuances, monitoring and evaluation, even to ensure that you are able to meet with the objective of your proposal. In constituting your research group, it must be multidisciplinary. Not every member from the same department, and sometimes not from your own faculty. We want to see you work with other people across faculties. We want to see you work with other people across other universities. We want to see you work with other gender, not all men, not all women. A mixture of that, and not all seniors and all juniors. We want to be able to see, and sometimes people are talking about multicultural. If you are working in the north, why don't you get an Hausa man, from one of the universities in the north? That really assures us that indeed that you know what you are doing, and at the end of the day, you are particular about the quality and integrity of your data. I think earlier speaker started talking about failures. Why is it that we reject concept note or proposal? One, when your scope is too broad, when your scope is unfocused, when there's a disconnect between title and content, when there is little originality, in your idea, when there is no value addition, even in terms of research content, it's not novel, it's not striking. And then you have poorly stated research objective, and then your methodology is, not even systematic, is inadequate, and then your analytical tools are mundane. You don't even know what is the latest in your field. And then when there's a kind of shallow content, and then outrageous budgeting, and sometimes I sit at the meetings and I hold on to my head when I see very good proposals that immediately, or concept note, immediately is passed the number. Oh, it's what can you imagine, 1,502 words. And because of that, nobody is even touching it. So make sure that you don't over 1,500. If I were you, I will even make it less than 1,500. And then budget. There's also something that is happening. I don't know how we were not able to give an answer to it, either at the meeting we had last, because I know people originally, put like 24 million, but the computer will just give you 24 billion. Immediately, colleagues see 24 billion, they just laugh and throw away your concept note or your proposal. And so there are times where we argue, isn't it because of maybe technical point of view and something, you just pray that you are not lucky, you are not unlucky to be part of those, I don't know. Please, mind how you copy and paste. Mind how you copy and paste, particularly in the area of budget. Copy and paste in a way that the program that Tetfund is using will not misread your budget, because we saw that a lot. We know that there's no way colleagues will put 24 million or 44 billion. It must have been some mistake somehow. But then maybe we contribute to that mistake because of cut and paste. So we have to be careful on that. And finally, I also want to talk about points of strength, that we must look into. When some of our references, the one that we use in our literature review, are from members of the group, we hold that with tenacity. Because it shows that that group is already working in that area. You can't be a PI and you don't have one single paper in that area. And then we also want to see that evident that members of that group and work in the area, ability to mitigate risk, a good balance in research team, language and packaging. When we start reading editorials and you are just wondering whether this one is capable of doing research, and then follow format given by. Thank you. I'm about finishing. Yes. Please keep strictly to the 1,500, and I say good luck to all applicants. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Because of our time, we will quickly call in Professor Olugbade for the next 5 minutes to conclude this presentation. And then Professor Adirumi is hanging around. So as soon as I will also come around to conclude this presentation. Professor Olugbade, 5 minutes. Professor. Prof.
Sorry.
Professor Olugbade.
Following up, yes, I'm with you. Following up,
please go ahead.
Following up from what we had from Professor Zainab, I just want to emphasize 2 things further. I will make the material available to director, COR, so that it can be disseminated, or to Professor Hosseini, so that it can be disseminated. But I want to emphasize 2 items there: the technical competencies of the team. And there's one issue. She mentioned about the leadership. She also mentioned about the team mix. The third area of emphasis is the role. Sometimes when we list our team members, we tend to list their area of specialization by their qualification. That is not the intention. It should be listed by the role they will play in that project. I want to emphasize that. That's one of the reasons why proposals are rejected. Sometimes you list somebody, it is true, he had a degree, PhD pharmacy, if there's anything so called. But then the fact that you are writing a project on isolation of anti-COVID materials from a plant, what role is he going to play? Is he going to play the role of collection, the role of isolation, the role of identification? That is his specialization. The specialization cannot be PhD pharmacy. I hope we have to take that seriously. And then the budgeting. In fact, there are 2 words that Professor Katampe used: avoid skimping or padding. Skimping meaning that you under budget, which actually is a reflection of ignorance in that field. A number of us, especially when we are under budget, it relates to equipment. Sometimes we don't budget for consumables that go with it. Sometimes we don't budget for accessories. Sometimes we budget for activities, but we are not realistic. So that is a very good reason for rejecting a proposal. So it's not always that you must write a slim budget. If it becomes realistic, it will be rejected. And of course, the other one is padding. I think the word was borrowed from National Assembly. Further, yes, the common mistakes, she listed, I'm sure she listed what she reported to the general panel. And it's not surprising that there's a significant overlap here. When the problem is not sufficiently important to produce any new or useful information, when the problem is more complex than the investigator appears to realize, when the problem is scientifically premature and warrants mostly only a pilot study, when the research proposal is overly involved with elements under simultaneous, too many elements under simultaneous investigation, and then description of the nature of the research and significance levels of the proposal are too nebulous and diffuse and not clear. Those are reasons why they are rejected. And then she listed some of the components on this slide already. This kind of the approach is too diffuse. The overall design has not been clearly thought out. The statistical aspects of the approach have not been given sufficient consideration. Even in our background, it is noted that some of us are fond of writing millions or many only data that are valid, either through literature or through database or through natural data form are useful. No flowery language will be accepted. Then controls are either inadequately or conceived or inadequately described. The equipment contemplated is outmoded, dead, or unsuitable for the work proposed. And then, of course, common mistakes, again, does not have adequate experience or track record in the research area, appears to be unfamiliar. That's with respect to the investigator, especially the PI. And then previously published work in this field by the author does not give confidence that he can handle the subject. And then he proposes to rely too heavily or insufficiently experienced associates, then spread it too thin, and then needs more license with colleagues in this field. I think she emphasized that point. I will soon finish. Then when the research scope is too broad, little originality, low value addition, you can see that some of the words are exactly the same. I shouldn't be surprised because at my introduction, I did tell you that some of them were extracted from reports that were before Tetfund. I think in conclusion, so that I don't waste more time, I think the best thing is to start by preparing a draft proposal, employing a logic model to address the problem identified, and then follow application guidelines strictly and in clear language. And then see yourself as an academic, as an evaluator, as the assessor. and then propose a marking scheme for yourself and use the template to guide you and to work and try to work to the answer. I think those are the key issues that are involved. Again, I promise I will make the PowerPoint available. At this time, I want to stop at this stage so that I don't waste much of time and give room to others. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof, for this presentation. These are very useful points that I'm sure. Some phones are not muted, please. So can we check your microphone to be sure you are muted? We'll now allow Professor Aderounmu to conclude the presentation.
Okay, I will mute myself.
All right. Professor Aderounmu.
Attention, please. Yvonne Air flight QI0800 from Lagos is estimated to arrive at Port International.
Okay, somebody's phone is on. Professor Lugbade, can you stop your screen share? It's been done. Okay.
Ask me to stop slide share.
Professor Lugbade, can you stop your slide sharing? Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Professor Aderounmu is back.
Yeah,
thank you,
sir.
Conclude your presentation. Yes.
So I just all our researchers to evaluate themselves before the proposal, the concept note is submitted to Abuja. So the detailed marking scheme, I gave it to additional so it can be shared. If you go through those marking schemes and then you look at what is missing from your concept note, I think it's going to be, yes. Well, so this is just the presentation and okay. Well, from the beginning again, it's just the scoring guide that I'm presenting here because I want to agree with all the presenters. It's like we are saying the same thing, but this is going to be necessary for everybody. You have your concept note now. You've included all these points so that you can score over 80% in your concept note. So, and that's why I took my time to really break down most of these. For example, look at the budget estimate. The mark there is 10 points. And what we are looking at there is compliance of the budget to recommended format and funding ceiling. So that will score you 7 marks. How realistic is your budget? That will score you 3 marks. So these are some of the things that I've done in this presentation. So once you have this slide, you can go through each of the topics and see or the sub-team and see whether you've already include the right information. For example, look at the technical competency of the research team. Do you use the right mix of seniority, gender balance? That will give you 6 marks. Interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, that will give you 5 marks. And then element of mentoring, that will give you 4 marks. So if you can follow these guidance very well, I'm sure that your concept will skate through. So I just took my time based on the experience and what we've been using in the last 5 or 6 years to give this breakdown of the scoring. So I want to agree totally with all members, all the presenters. We are saying the same thing, but this one is like a guide. For example, now, if you have, if you submit a concept note that is about 1,500 words, it's automatic rejection. If the funding ceiling is more than 50 million, it's automatic rejection. And if the principal investigator is a low senior lecturer or chief lecturer, is total rejection. So these are the 3 standards that have already been put in place by Tetfund to reject your concept note without even checking at all. Other ones, you can just make use of that scoring criteria to score yourself before you submit your concept note so that you'll be sure that your concept note will really make it. So on this note, I think I want to really thank the committee for putting up this webinar, and also thank the Vice Chancellor for giving me the opportunity to be part of this presentation. So I'm still available for questions. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, Prof. We will bring you back in the next 10 to 12 minutes for discussion of questions that participants might raise after Professor Sini. Professor Sini has the next 10 minutes to do his presentation.
Thank you, moderator. A great pleasure to make this presentation. All protocols duly observed. The title of my presentation is Navigating the Tetfund NRF Portal. I have two goals for this presentation. The first goal is the navigation. And then the second goal, which is value addition to this presentation, is how to tackle the glitches that we observed last year. There were a number of glitches on this portal, and we have taken some time to document such glitches, and we're going to share them. Now, we know the outline of the NRF portal. We have about 7 sections. The first section is the general introduction, and then there is the user registration, creating an account, then the login and the password. These are all very familiar to all of us. Item number 3 is the upload of that carefully crafted concept note. All the presentations today have been made to guide us about the best way to craft our concept notes to make them very competitive. But then the additional point is that a concept note is only successful if it is properly uploaded following all the guidelines provided by Tetfund. Hopefully, number 4 is the next stage for successful concept notes. And then number 5 is also a phase for successful concept notes. Number 6 is common. Now we have to define the profiles for all members of the research team. And then there is opportunity to use the bulletin board for long distance joint work. So this is part of the resources for the portal. We know that as part of the introduction, the portal provides a step-by-step procedure that enables applicants to navigate and upload their concept notes and ultimately the full proposals for those that scale through. So the portal provides an opportunity for all the services by Tetfund and by the research teams, as well as the assessors, to navigate within the same platform. All these are all known to us. Now, part of the starting point is the creation of an account. I want to add that for all those who created accounts last year, the accounts are still valid, even though the contents have been cleaned off. So you have a clean slate to upload your concept note. So it's a fresh start. So we all know this. We're going to save time on this. But we have 3 documents on this page. We have the user manual, we have the researcher guide, and then we have the research brief. All these are PDF documents that are a must for research teams to read and digest. The contents provide all the details about the NRF, including the details about the thematic areas. So download all the 3 PDFs and read them for details. Now, once your account is created, you have an email generated and sent to your email for confirmation. I'm sure we're all familiar with this, so we're going to save some time on this. Now, you verify your account and then you log in. There was this message that was flashing last year on the screen, but that Tetfund asked us to ignore, that the accounts are valid, in spite of the suspicious link that this is not really a source of worry. Now, you log in after creating the account, just like the normal procedures which many of us are very familiar with. After logging in, that is where the work starts. For example, you have the concept notes. You have, again, carefully, you have to choose the category, you have to choose the thematic areas, and then you have to choose estimated budget. This was one of the glitches. The budgets are within the range of less than 50 million, but some of our colleagues had some challenge with typing in the estimated budget. They ended up typing in values that were far less, and that created a lot of stress for them. So we saw this as one of the hurdles, and we're going to have to discuss how we navigated it last year. And then the entire portal is divided into subsections. You have the categories, you have the thematic areas where you have to choose, and then you have the estimated budget, which you type in. This is just a budget estimate for concept notes. There is no provision for detailed budget. So we're going to discuss this, just the round figure. If it is 39 million, carefully type in 39 million, etc. Now we have the subsections, for example, the background. All the work that has been done by the reviewers is to guide us to obey the boundaries. For example, obey the 1,500 words limit, so that the exercise of uploading into the portal is a simple copy and paste, and then we look at the pasting to make sure that the contents are all right. So section by section, this is done up to the submission page, but there is provision for preview, and I think this is a must. You must preview to make sure that all the sections are properly uploaded, and also make sure that the sections match the uploads. For example, the background copy from the background draft document also matches the window for the background statement here. Ultimately, after previewing meticulously, and then there is the submit button. There is provision for uploading of a passport photograph. This is for the research team. Again, these are all familiar for all of us. We can add the research team members. These are very familiar. There is the bulletin board where we could walk across distance. We could interact in the process of developing the concept note. This is one of the resources too. And then a very important message in this presentation is managing some glitches, but we need to identify the glitches first. The number one glitch was creating an account. Some of our colleagues had very serious challenges with creating accounts because there were no email notifications so that such accounts could be verified. Eventually, that was resolved. There was a second glitch concerning auto submission before the full upload of the concept note, meaning that the portal submits your concept note when you were still midstream. And then there was a massive intervention by the Tetfund Office along with Professor G.A. Aderomu, reaching the technical team in Abuja to resolve this. There was also the challenge of entering a budget figure that was far less than the figure allowed for the concept. Again, this was resolved through intervention with the Tetfund Office up to the technical team in Abuja. There were challenges with the budget app, particularly for the full proposals. Again, there were interventions. So what the recommendation from the team is a very cautious and very meticulous process, and make sure that your networks too are stable and that some of these glitches could be minimized. However, when these glitches arise, please shout. We have a standby team at the COR as well as at the OAU Tetfund Office 24/7, ready to intervene. And incidentally, some of the successful applicants for last year were part of those who had some of these glitches, and then they were successfully resolved. So I want to list some of the references here. Again, these are the PDFs that were part of the login and that conspicuously displayed at the login. Please download and read them. These are very powerful resources for navigating the OAU Tetfund gateway. So best of luck to all of us. Appreciation to the Vice Chancellor, COR, and the Tetfund Office for this opportunity. God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Sini. It's just made the point that we are ready, the COR and Tetfund Office, the team in the Tetfund Office and COR are ready to provide support. You will see how effective the reviews have been, and our colleagues are still ready to give in most support to ensure that Obafemi Awolowo remains at the forefront in this whole exercise of accessing funds from the NRF. Now we are coming to the point of conclusion, and we might be able to ask the VC to make some comments at some, as we close. But we would like to invite questions. Now, if you have burning questions that you want to raise, our distinguished presenters are here. Professor Aina is very much around. Professor Aderomu is there waiting also. Professor Lugbade, Professor Kiola, everybody that has spoken, but Professor Bilade is back. I think I saw her back. She went out and she's back. So these distinguished colleagues are waiting to respond to your questions. I understand that Dr. Aina is still available. So if there's any need to bring him back, even now we will be able to ask him to speak to some of. So can we ask you, can we have questions? People are listening, answer ready. Can we recognize? Okay. Okay, Mary Salau. Okay. Where's this receipt? Can we click on it? All right. So you will, what it calls.
Thank you, sir. Can I ask my question, sir? Hello, sir.
Mary Salah.
Mary Salah, can we have you speak?
Thank
okay,
you,
she's
sir.
on.
Can you hear me, sir?
Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, sir. I would like to appreciate the Vice Chancellor, the team members.
Is she unmuted?
I am unmuted. I'm speaking. Can you hear me, sir?
You have the floor, Mary Salah.
Yes, I'm speaking. I'm speaking, sir. Can you please hear me?
Okay, if you send in your questions, your
Wow.
comments.
Can you hear me, sir? I'm speaking. Hello, sir.
Okay, so you may send in your comments and we pick because of time. We have Olakunle Ogini. Is that Professor Ogini? Okay.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me, please? Hello.
We can hear you.
Olakunle Ogini is on.
Yes. Good afternoon. Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for putting this together. I have several questions. I am unmuted. All right. Can I go ahead?
Some can type.
Okay, if you type your comments also, we can harvest them and discuss them.
Oh, but we can hear them. We can hear them.
You can hear them.
We can hear them, but nobody is responding back to them.
Okay, that's a challenge from here. Okay, so did you want to respond to? Did you hear the question, ma'am?
So I'm going to start asking my question.
You are not allowed him to speak.
Okay, please, who is on now? Can we ask Mary to speak?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir.
Maybe we can hear you.
Thank you, Mark. I would like to appreciate our Vice Chancellor and our esteemed professors for putting up.
Can you speak a little bit louder?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me now, sir?
Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. I have few questions. I would like to appreciate leaders once again for this opportunity. Let me just go straight because of time. Sir, I would like to find out, because from the presentation of Professor Nora and Professor Aderomu and all the other professors, we told that we must not exceed 1,500, but I think I have an issue. While Professor Aina was presenting, she referred to some subsections that were not listed on the guidelines or the guidelines that was presented by Professor Nora, ranging from the title of ground down to the results. Sir, I think I don't know. I don't know which one because the template you have not submitted, the template I followed had some other subsections under section 1, for example, there are 6 subsections. Then under subsection 2, there are about 5 subsections, on and on like that. So now that we are going to upload, do you advise that we follow the one that is elaborate, because that elaborate form has the first section after the title, requesting for executive summary which do not exceed 600 words. And I'm thinking that
the question is about the limit, the 1,500 word limit.
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Now,
so
the executive summary, is it part of what I could do? Because I found it in one of the forms, and that's the template I followed, and I have thousands of in my content. So that's
thank you. All right. You will have only one question because of others. One question, right. One critical question from each person. 1 minute, please, because of our time. The presenters are listening to you. Professor Anna will take note of that question. Professor Aderounmu, if you have the opportunity to speak to it. Let's pick other questions and then we will respond together to all of the questions. All right. So the next person. Dr. Adio?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Can you hear me, sir? Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, 1 minute.
Thank you so much. I'll quickly go to my question. All protocol duly observed. On the Tetfund concept page, I noticed that only on the budget section, only figures are allowed, and you can only put probably the total budget. And given the fact that the template that we used, we have budget breakdown like personnel cost, equipment, supplies, and the rest. Are we allowed to just put the total there, or we must find a way to include the budget components? Thank you, sir.
The next person, Olakunle Ogini.
Hello, good morning, everyone, and thank you for putting this together. I had several questions that have been included in the chat, but the primary one has to do with the role of the principal investigator. If someone is a principal investigator on an existing Tetfund grant, can they also be a principal investigator on another grant or on a new application that is being made? And the second one is that we submitted concept note for consideration on the 29th November, but we haven't gotten feedback. Is there anything we need to do to get feedback? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Professor Aderounmu, we handled the first part. Professor Seni, we handled the second part on your feedback. So, I'll be like, okay, don't worry, we will feedback. And then please type your questions also so we can pull them down and respond to each of them fully after all the presentation. The next person, the next hand up is Kayode Ayodele. Kayode Ayodele, are you still on?
Good morning, sir. Yes, I'm on, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I want to say thank you to the organizers of this very important webinar. Quickly, my question. So there is a word limit of 1,500 words for the whole concept notes. This we have been told. But from Professor Akinola's beautiful presentation, she also showed limits for each section. For example, she said background, 250 words, the SOP should be 150, objective should be 100 words. So I want to ask, are these section limits that she gave strong recommendations based on her considerable experience, or are they really strictly enforced by the committees? If it is the latter, does the limit apply to all the thematic areas or just to SETI? I mean, the limit in the sections. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I'm sure Professor Akinola heard you. Professor Akinola is going to respond to that. Professor Akinola, are you here? No, Akinola, she's
yes, I'm here.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Please take note of that question, Prof.
Okay.
Olayinka Otiemi. Olayinka Otiemi, are you here?
Oh, yes, thank you, sir. Thank you
Right.
for this great opportunity. I want to appreciate all the resource person and the vice chancellor in particular. My question is simple. Last year, some of us participated in this, and when Professor Obilade was speaking, she mentioned that the first tranche of the research grant has been given, and some of us who won the grant last year have not received anything from the Tetfund. So I don't know whether she would like to speak on this. Then second, like the last one.
All right.
Then the other speaker also mentioned that some of us submitted, of course, I was a principal last year, but this time I had to be one of the
co-researchers.
Yeah, co-researchers. So, and the thing was submitted early enough. And I know that the deadline is 29th or 20th of December. And we have this holiday period. Yeah, and we have not received anything. I don't know what is actually
is it the feedback you are talking about? You've not received the feedback from
the principal investigator has not received any feedback from the
okay, Professor Seni will take care of that.
All right.
Professor Seni will take care of that immediately.
All right.
All right. Last year's this is 2020 award. Professor Bilade is coming to speak about that. Okay, thank you. The next person is Adekemi Olokere. Adekemi Olokere.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, well, please go ahead.
I think my question is similar to the previous caller. We've not gotten feedback from the OAU Tetfund team, and we also
last year,
we submitted before the.
Is it the last year's call or this recent?
This present one. This
okay,
present
you
one.
get the feedback. That is Adekemi Olokere. Professor Seni is taking notes of this, and you will be reached very quickly.
All right, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes.
Professor Adebayo, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Good morning, sir. Mr. Vice Chancellor, good morning. All other protocol duly observed. I'm grateful to be part of this. I'm grateful to be part of this. I'm really, really grateful. I just have one question. In the preparation of the concept note, I learned that when one takes a photograph, it is taken as one word. Now, I'm not so sure whether that is allowed. I'm talking about counting of the number of words.
Okay, counting the number of words?
Yes, sir. And then that you can take, for references, you can take everything as a photograph and it will be taken as one word. I don't know whether that smartness, I don't know whether that smartness is allowed or is actually one of the reasons that's going to lead to rejection. Then two, sir, a very quick one, sir. The deadline of December, sir, is it for the reproposal or for the concept note? I'm not so clear about that. Yes, sir.
It's for concept note, definitely.
Okay, thank you so much.
December 28th.
Thank you so much, sir. God bless you.
We cancel that the upload should start from now so that we don't run into the problem of deadlines. Okay, so Professor Seni is taking note of that last question. Is there another person raising up his hand so we can? Is that the last one? Okay, we'll look at the charts and I will call the presenters quickly to respond. I think the first questions goes to Professor Aina. Okay.
From the charts. There are some additional questions from the chart. Okay, one question says, what is the minimum number of research team members, including the principal researcher? So that is one question. Okay. Now let's start responding as we.
Okay, so we will pick all of the questions and those we cannot answer online. we will do some response to them and share on the various platforms that we have created. So, Professor, now any quick response to the question? The first
Yeah,
question.
thank you very much, sir.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Prof. Yes.
Okay. Yes, permit me to just speak to some of the things that I think are live information from our last meeting from Tetfund. One about concept notes. Concept note is just a concept note. I'm not sure there is any executive summary that we're expecting on concept notes. I think there's a mixture of that view with proposal. It's when you are submitting your proposal that you need to write a summary. And then in terms of budget, what you need on the concept note is just the figure, the amount in figure. If you want to break down at this point, you are not supposed to start breaking down for concept note. It's when you do your proposal. But if you want to break down, then use it as attachment. And I can assure you, most of those attachments are never touched. But just to be sure that you have satisfied yourself, if they allow attachment, you can put it as an attachment. But please don't add it to your concept, to your main concept note, because it will be counted against you. And I also want to react to a question about our sister, Professor Akinola, trying to limit number for this and that. It's really to help us. You know, it's really to help us. If you are careful about how you spread those words, maybe it will help you to know how you are going to put your 1,500 words. But in terms of words per section, there's nothing like that within the Tetfund regulation, saying it's only the title. Your title must not be more than, I think, 20 words or 20 or something like that. But apart from that, nobody is saying your objective should be this and that, but you need to caution yourself. It's important that she's saying that so that we do not overburden particular sections. I think I will stop there.
Thank you, Prof. Professor Bilade, you want to react quickly to some of the questions?
Thank you very much, sir. The question on how many proposals can a PI feature in, as much as possible, even for internally, even for IBR, institutional-based research, we try to ensure that it is not the same names repeating all the time. So as a PI, you cannot, for an existing project, you cannot be PI for another project. And ideally, we are saying that as senior persons, we should also be able to set up what I will call mentored backup teams that we have enough trust in to be able to put in a proposal that we may not be directly involved, but we will also be able to oversee and supervise and guide them. It's not all the time that our names should feature there. It is going to be a disadvantage, a minus, for a proposer to bear the name of a PI that is a current PI, and then you want to be PI for the next one. It certainly won't go. Even if you submit it internally, we would have responded. There was also the question about the first tranche. Once your letter gets to the university, your first tranche is in. Because right now, what Tetfund Abuja does is to ensure that the first tranche is sent to the university before the letter gets there. Now, the first tranche does not go to your account directly from Abuja. It is sent to the university. The letter is written, the letter for the award is written, Dear Vice Chancellor. But we have made an arrangement. When your letter gets to our office from the office of the Vice Chancellor, we now write you. You collect your letter, you will collect the letter from the institution too. And so you have two letters. And with that, you are able to write to the bursar. You are expected to go and open a research account and provide the information and write to the bursar. and the bursary will deduct the 5% for administrative charges as indicated and specified in your award letter by Tetfund Abuja, and the rest will be transferred to your research account. Please note that it is research account.
Okay. We lost.
Funds are not transferred. Hello?
Yeah, let's go.
Can you hear me? If you have issues, you can please visit us at the Tetfund Office. We'll be able to attend to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Professor Siri, do you have any quick reaction?
Yes, yes, sir. There was a question about the budget for the concept note. And then the person who raised the question was mentioning personnel, travel, equipment. All those details are not accommodated in the portal for the concept note. What is accommodated is a round figure. It's a round figure that says this is the estimated budget, e.g. 42 million or 39 million. And that is the round figure that is accommodated. However, for the full proposal, there is a sub-app for the budget. There's a whole app for the budget for all the details about personnel, travel, equipment, etc. As far as we know, for the concept note, there's a round figure which you key in at the very first page. There was a consistent question about word limit. The moment you start uploading, filling in the contents for the concept notes, it will give you a message about the number of words remaining. For example, after filling the background information, if your background information has 250 words, immediately that is deducted from the 1,500 words, and a message flashes on the screen to let you know the number of words remaining, meaning that all the hard work you have done before now and all the reminders by our reviewers will be very helpful, because you cannot be struggling with 1,500 word limit at the upload stage. And I think that will help all of us. For the question about the concept notes, about the feedback to the concept notes, we are working around the clock with special appreciation to the reviewers who are also the resource persons. We are really working around the clock to make sure that the feedback gets to you on time, and then you have enough time to go through the revisions before the upload. The upload is your responsibility. It is not that of the COR or Tetfund Office. The service is just to help to upgrade the quality of the submissions. But the ultimate upload is the responsibility of the PI and his team. Thank you.
Yes, that is instructive. The upload is your responsibility. I think you should take note of that. But you will continue to have support if you need any support from Tetfund Office and working with COR. Now, Professor Aderomo, any quick reaction to help on the various questions? Professor Akiola, any addition to the response already provided?
Thank you, Prof. I think Professor Aino has alluded to the question for me. The average word count per section is a guide, and it's to help you, manage your word count, and it can be plus or minus, but ultimately the figure of 1,500 words shouldn't be exceeded. That's what I have to say there. Thank you.
Professor Lugade, any additions as we will try to close this meeting? Professor Lugade? Professor Aderomo? Okay.
Hello, sir.
Well, hello, Prof.
Hello, sir.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I just want to, there's an issue we left about grants for last year. I just want to let us know it's not just our university. Those that had grants for last year, none of them had been paid because of some operational issues with Tetfund. So I think as we go into the new year, they are going to start to iron that out. So nobody has paid all across the country.
Thank you, Prof, for that information. This is very important. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we are coming to the close of this meeting. I would like to invite the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, and I'm trying to figure out if the VC is still around for some last words. And then, of course, Dr. Aina, Dr. Shegwana, are you still around, sir? For some last few minutes before we ask the DVC academic to do the final observations. Professor, Dr. Shegwana. Okay. I'm sure we're going to have a Professor Obila, are there any last words before we ask the DVC academic to come online? All right, DVC ma. Professor Babalola.
Thank you very much, sir. Hello, I hope you can all hear me. Hello, sir.
Yes, yes.
Okay. There is another meeting going on in Flow, and VC has gone out to attend to that meeting. So he has asked me to also stand in. So I don't think he has any other thing to say than what he has said before. And in closing, I want to observations first. We thank God that at the beginning we had some issues, but towards the end now we can see that all those things have been cleared because Professor Olugbade, Professor Aderomu could not finish up, but thank God we had extra time for them to complete their presentation. So on behalf of management, I want to sincerely appreciate all the participants. And I could see the enthusiasm, the interest that we all have in this. The questions we asked, people stayed from the beginning to the end. And this shows that, there is a good end to these things. So we appreciate everybody, all the participants, those that have joined us online. I know at the beginning also, it was only 100 participants that could be allowed in. But we appreciate Inteku for extending it to 500. And also, they also provided another link to join via YouTube. So we appreciate Inteku for that, for rising up to the occasion so that we can allow more people to participate. Also, on behalf of management, I want to appreciate all the resource persons, Professor Obilade, Professor Olugbade, Professor Akinola, Professor Aderomu, Professor Aino, and Professor Husseini. We appreciate you because you took time out of your tight schedule to prepare these slides for us. And you also spoke to all the slides, in a clear manner that we understand. So we appreciate you. And I also want to believe that if any of us have issues or we need further clarifications, you'll be readily available to us anytime we call on you. Thank you, sirs and ma'ams. I want to appreciate the organizers, Tetfund and COR. For COR, we have Professor Adeshino as the Executive Director, Professor Husseini as the Director, Professor Kehinde Taiwo and Professor Iglori as Directors. We appreciate Professor Mrs. Obilade of Tetfund and her team for putting all these things together. We know we had something like this last year, but we could see some additions. We could see a kind of improvement on what we did last year compared with this year's one. And the result of last year, this told us at the beginning that out of 201 universities, OAU had 200 approved. I think we should clap for ourselves wherever we are. So the result of the training we had last year, it yielded good results for us. We had 200 out of 201 universities. Sorry, we have 20. So this time around, I want to implore all the participants and those that will watch the video later that we should not allow all the efforts to go down the drain. We should put in all efforts to ensure that we remain at the top that we come first this year when the NRF results will come out, that we should not get nothing less than 40. We had 20 last year, so we should multiply it by 2, making 40 this year. And I know God Almighty will help us. So we appreciate Professor Obilade for the good work she's doing at Tetfund. We appreciate Professor Adeshina for putting this together, Professor Oseni, everybody. And what I noticed also is that the organizer, they didn't just invite anybody. They invited those that are really involved in a review of concept notes. We could hear Professor saying that we had a review at Tetfund and giving us, it's like we have privileged information from her and from others. And also want to appreciate COR and Tetfund for additional effort taking in reviewing the concept notes submitted before final submission to Abuja. Thanks so much for all this. And we pray that all our efforts will be rewarded. We will not lose our reward. Thank you very much. On behalf of management, we appreciate everybody and we look forward to further, enlightening programs like this so that we can, achieve greatly. Thank you and God bless. Professor Adeshina, sir.
Thank you, DVC. The meeting is, Professor Obilade, okay, the meeting is here closed and we'll continue to interact on our various platforms. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Bye.